Hello GameScope, I'm Bрэндоном Lauрино, executive producer of Dust 514 at CCP. I've had sort of a long history in the game industry. Basically, I started working, my first sort of games, were when I was a kid, making games at home on Apple IIc, and then, progressively as PCs advanced more and more. I did a lot of work in film and video as well, and then with the advent of the web, I produced and did work on a lot of some of the earliest web games. So some of the earliest Flash games for sites like Shockwave.com and AtomFilms.com. And then a few years following that, got into the mobile era. So mobile really started to emerge, and again worked on some of the first mobile games, some of the first really popular mobile games, things like that. And then I sort of progressed that, and then I worked at Sony out of New York and was doing a lot of that continuation of that sort of work, like interactive stuff for the web and for mobile, other things like Second Life, created big presence for that. And then I moved on and worked at Konami, and I was responsible for Metal Gear Online and other online games and online services, the websites and all community, and starting out with social games and mobile games in the West. And then continued that work over at Sega. And then following that, did a bit of social games, so starting out with social games, and then joined CCP as an executive producer. Also, while at Konami and then at Sega, I had a big focus on online games, as I mentioned. I kicked up one of Sega's first free-to-play microtransaction-based MMO called Spiral Knights in collaboration with Three Rings, which is a great studio. So that was something that I was really proud of, because that was the first Japanese company to do a free-to-play microtransaction-based MMO. And then while I was at Sega, I was responsible for Phantasy Star Universe in the West as well, which was one of the only other MMOs on console. It was subscription-based prior to where I'm at now, which is CCP, working on Dust 514 for PS3. So Dust 514 is now the first free-to-play microtransaction-based MMO on console, and it's also doing another groundbreaking thing, which is connecting two MMOs within one MMO franchise, the EVE universe, and EVE Online on PC, which has been around for almost 10 years, and now Dust 514 on PS3, are all connected as part of the same single shard server infrastructure and connected in real time together. So everyone, whether you're logged into EVE Online on PC or Dust 514 on PS3, are logged into the same server all at one time. So to just sort of summarize my career, I've always found myself doing like some of the pioneering work of new platforms and new media, whether it's digital video when I was working in film and video, or web games, and then mobile games, and then online games on console, and then free to play, and mobile games, and then social games, and then now this free-to-play microtransaction-based games on console, and a multi-MMO franchise. So I think I've always wanted to work on sort of the frontiers, because that's where I'm most inspired and excited. It is my first time in Russia, and I'm actually really excited to be here. I'm actually part Russian, so one aspect of it is sort of getting in touch with my roots a little bit. So that's really cool. And then I'm a big connoisseur of food and culture, and Russia has so much history and so much beautiful architecture, so it's really inspiring to see that. And then of course, again, as mentioned, like I do love to eat and I love to drink, and there's some great things in Russia. I love all Eastern European cuisine, so to be, I'm also part Polish, and I had a big immersion in Polish culture, and I come from New York City, and there's a big Polish culture there, so I was very familiar with Polish cuisine. There's a couple of good Russian restaurants in New York and LA, but now to really come and experience Russian cuisine and Russian culture firsthand is very exciting for me. So I've had some great meals, and then I also got to try Georgian food as well, which was really interesting. You don't really find Georgian food. I've never seen it outside of Russia, so being able to experience that was really interesting. And then last night I went for a fantastic Russian meal. It's almost indescribable. But you know, one of the main things when I came here, obviously I was very excited to see IgroMir because we love our Russian fan base. I mean, our Russian players in EVE Online do so many fascinating things, and I find Russian players to be a really smart, really hardcore player base, and they're, especially for a company like us that makes, you know, really sort of smart, hardcore games, really deep games and complex games. You know, the Russian audience is really one of our greatest ones that we really love interacting, and we try to, you know, again, unlike other companies, instead of building scripted experiences or story experiences, we let players make the stories, and that's something that CCP is really famous for, and we find the Russians make absolutely some of the best stories. I mean, those are the stories that we talk about in the office on a regular basis. So to come and really interact with that player base, interact with Russian journalists as well, we just it's really exciting for us because it's such a great community and a group of gamers to interact with, so that part is great too. So when I came here, you know, part one is obviously coming to IgroMir, seeing what IgroMir is like, interacting with the Russian gaming community, press, public, other people in the Russian gaming business. That's been really cool. Of course, coming and seeing Moscow and seeing the history and seeing the architecture and just seeing what the environment is like as one of the major great world cities is really cool. And then of course, like I said, the cuisine, you know, I had a couple of things that were really important to me. I love smoked salmon, and Russia is famous for great smoked salmon. I love caviar. Russia is very famous for caviar, and I actually don't drink beer. I know that sounds weird, and I get made fun of about it all the time. I hope you Russian players don't make fun of me too much about it, but you know, but I love champagne, and that's what I drink on a regular basis. And again, you know, having like smoked salmon and caviar and champagne is like, I think, a big thing in Russia. And you know, of course, vodka is great. So to come and experience real Russian vodka, I had a Beluga vodka last night, and I think that's like one of the most famous Russian vodkas, and that was really good. I got really messed up on it. Yeah, well, like I said, the main difference with IgroMir is really the Russian community, the Russian gaming community itself. Because like I said, I find it to be a very highly educated, very hardcore player base, and especially for a company like us that makes very deep games, just being able to sort of jump right into a conversation about our games with that community and just get right to like really deep questions, really smart questions is very exciting for us. Even if people are not familiar with EVE and Dust, they get it right away, right? Sometimes we have to do a bit more explaining in other markets about what EVE is and what the history is and how it works, and then when we're talking about Dust, explain free to play with microtransactions. But I find that the Russian audience really gets this sort of stuff very, very, very quickly, and we can just get right to the more sophisticated parts of the conversation. So it's just really cool interacting with the Russian community, and that's probably the main thing that I would identify about it is, you know, okay, maybe it's not the biggest gaming market in the world, but by the way, it is certainly getting very, very, very big. So that's not trivial either. But what I find is, I definitely think, like, sort of next to the Japanese, it's definitely one of the most engaged, hardcore, intelligent audiences for gaming out there. Dust 514 active production started around 4 years ago. But really the concept has been around even since the beginning of EVE Online, right? The original vision for EVE Online and the EVE universe was to create the most immersive sci-fi universe ever seen, a place where you can live out any sort of science fiction life that you would want to live. So if you want to go and be a space miner, if you want to go build an empire, or if you want to go and be an industrialist, someone that manufactures stuff, if you want to go and be a spy, if you want to go and be a pirate, if you want to go and be a CEO, if you want to go and be a science fiction soldier, if you want to go and be a pilot, if you want to go, I mean, anything that you can think of, the original vision was always to really be able to explore and get fully immersed in a sci-fi, true living sci-fi universe. And we definitely accomplished that with EVE Online, but of course, one thing that was always there is you have these giant planets all over the universe, and you were never able to actually go down to the planets and see what's happening on the planet's surface and interact on that level, you know, through your character avatar. When you're playing Eve, you're mostly playing as a spaceship. Of course, we introduced the character creation system, which is great, and your captain's quarters. But you know, really being able to have the gameplay through the character avatar, and then being able to go down and explore planets, and of course fight battles on planets. Eve is a universe full of war and conflict, of course, so fighting battles on planets makes a lot of sense, and now being able to introduce that element as part of the living science fiction universe that we've created of the Eve universe and Eve Online, and now Dust 514, is just another step in creating a new experience within that vision. So of course, the Eve Online experience is being a starship captain, and all of the different roles that you can play out with that through your spaceship primarily. And now Dust 514 is about being an immortal soldier clone, and going down to the planet surfaces and exploring planets and fighting battles on planets, and having that aspect of the science fiction experience. So the true meaning of Dust 514 is actually a secret. So we're going to leave that to the players themselves to explore. But actually, a Russian the other night figured out that if you turn Dust and then 514 into letters in the English alphabet, it actually spells DEAD. So you can take that as a meaning of it. I think that's pretty fantastic. We didn't even realize, but now certainly I will now accept that one meaning of Dust 514 is the conversion to letters to create the acronym of the name DEAD.
Great, thank you for the tip. Okay.
So that's one meaning. Every year we have FanFest 2012 in Reykjavik, Iceland, and this year at FanFest every year we create a great cinematic trailer. This year's one is nicknamed Immortal, and it does show the origin of the mercenary technology, the immortal soldier technology in the Eve universe. So with Eve Online, the concept is you do have clones, and your consciousness is transplanted to other clones, but basically, in what we showed in the FanFest cinematic trailer is the discovery of a new technology that allows for an instant transfer of consciousness at the moment of death, without need of you know, the whole pod environment and all the other stuff that capsuleers, which are the starship captains, need. So basically, I really would encourage everyone to go and watch the FanFest 2012 cinematic trailer that shows the origin of the mercenary technology in the Eve universe. It's one of our favorite cinematic pieces that we've ever made, and I think it's turned out really great. And now, if you go and download Dust 514, we've even included it as the intro video in the game itself. So if you go and download Dust 514, you can also watch that video and see the origin of the mercenary technology. But basically, sleeper technology was found that allows for an instant transfer of consciousness at the moment of death, and this was sort of R&D funded by the Amarians for their war, and then the technology basically got out, partially with the help of a pirate named Mordu, who then proliferated it amongst all the major empires and corporations within the Eve universe, and now the mercenary technology is sort of emerging throughout the Eve universe. But of course, this is in our closed beta, and we'll sort of play out these. We have some surprises in store for when it actually goes live on Tranquility, the main live Eve server, and we come out of closed beta. But that's all I'll say about that right now. Yeah, so free to play. So first off, obviously, you know, the market's made a lot of movements, and consumers have shown that they really love the free to play with microtransaction sort of business model, and it's been very successful on mobile, and it's been very successful on PC, but it has not come to console yet. And basically, we're very honored to be working in close collaboration with Sony to be doing that for the first time ever on console. And you know, people say, "Oh, is this the future?" I think it's one aspect of the future. I think the most important thing about it is that it's about consumer choice. You know, there's some games that it makes sense to have as a you know, a traditional $60 retail product, you know, because maybe they're single player and you play it once or you play it twice and unlock some stuff, and maybe there's a little bit of DLC, and that sort of the end of the experience, and it doesn't really make sense to have it be sort of free or have it be a subscription-based game. So that business model makes sense for that sort of an experience and that sort of a game. Likewise, a game like Eve that's been this massive MMORPG for so many years with all these free expansions and free upgrades and all of this kind of stuff, it really does make sense as a subscription-based model. We offer a great game as a service following that model for Eve Online, and certainly think we do it as one of the best in the industry at that, if not the best in terms of the services that we offer. And now with Dust 514, for us as one of the leading online game companies, it's an opportunity for us to explore the new emerging model of free-to-play with microtransactions for us as a business. And then, of course, again, bringing that to consoles for the first time is a tremendous opportunity for us as a company and for Sony as a console manufacturer to be able to support that business model. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's about consumer choice. Do you want to buy a $60 retail game? Do you want to get involved with a subscription game? Do you want to have a free-to-play game with microtransactions? And the thing that I think is nice about a free-to-play game with microtransactions is that it's probably of all of those models the one that supports choice the best, because you can really go download the game for free, and then it's up to you how much time do you want to invest in it and how much actual money do you want to invest in it. And that's sort of the ultimate in consumer flexibility. And of course, the most important thing when you're doing that is a couple of things. One is that you do provide a complete and satisfying game experience as part of the free experience, right? When we say it's free to play, we don't just mean, oh, it's free to play, but then you pay. There's a complete, full, free-to-play experience that is completely free that we are providing to every PlayStation 3 owner. But of course, if you choose to pay, there's things like you can speed up your progression, you can personalize your character more, you can get more customization options. But the other aspect that's very important with that is that it's not pay to win. There's no, particularly when it comes to weapons and items, there's no weapon or item you can buy that gives you an unfair advantage on the battlefield. And when it comes to weapons and equipment and things like that, everything that we have for a paid microtransaction, we have a free earned equivalent as well. So it's even though it's very important to provide things that are meaningful for a microtransaction, when it comes to those specific things, it's very important that you don't make it quote-unquote pay to win, and that's something that we spend a lot of time focusing on and making sure that we're getting just right. And the feedback that we're getting is that we are getting it just right. The other thing that's really exciting about this model is, again, especially in Russia, we can see that the audience here has really embraced the free-to-play with microtransaction business model. You have games like World of Tanks and League of Legends that globally have proven that you can have a great core game experience, a game for gamers that is free-to-play with microtransactions, that isn't pay-to-win, that is a very satisfying gaming experience, and we're really happy to be part of the first frontier of that, and the very first one of those on console. And so that's another thing that I think gamers have now accepted, that you can have this sort of experience and it can be a really good game, and it can be fair and not pay to win. So again, it's a big opportunity for us to bring that to consoles for the first time ever. How can I cheer them up? How can I cheer them up? So, well, first off, obviously, people may wonder, why did we make the game for console? And like I said, the opportunity to bring we were making a free-to-play with microtransaction-based game anyway. The opportunity to do that on console for the first time ever is a tremendous one for us as a company. To have Sony really partner with us on that is just a huge opportunity for us. Following on that, part of the reason to go on consoles was, CCP and EVE Online is really well established within PC gaming. We're pretty well known within the PC gaming audience as a brand and as a company. But again, this opportunity was a chance for us to reach a brand new audience that we've never reached before. And we're already seeing that we're touching and reaching all kinds of new people that have never heard of EVE Online, never heard of CCP. So for us as a company, that's been a very big step to be able to grow into that market. And by the way, that's a very big thing for any MMO company. Most MMO companies have typically been on PCs, so again, being one of the only ones to really bring in a true MMO experience to console is again another big opportunity for us as a company. And you know, again, there's just sort of this whole litany, this whole lineup of groundbreaking things that we're doing. Free to play with microtransactions on console, just doing an MMO on console, doing an MMO that's connected to another MMO within the same MMO franchise on a single shard server infrastructure is another huge groundbreaking thing. So doing all of these things and having such a strong partner like Sony and being able to reach a console audience who, again, for the most part has never heard of EVE Online or CCP are all of the sort of reasons why this is such a great opportunity for us as a company and for gamers, right? Anyone that has a PS3 gets this great free-to-play game, and that's just extremely cool. But in terms of those fans that don't have a PS3 and, you know, really want to play Dust and how can I make them happy, per your question, all I can say is this: if you're familiar with EVE Online, you know that it's been around for almost 10 years now, and we've provided a lot of almost two free expansions every year and major upgrades to the game. So, you know, unlike other MMOs, it doesn't have the same graphics that it had from 2003. We've done major upgrades to it, and even and I agree with this, some people consider EVE to still be one of the most beautiful games in its current upgraded state, one of the most beautiful games currently available, and certainly with our character creator and the stuff that you see in space and the detail on the ships, it even looks like a next generation game still. It's you know, it covers a very broad spec of PCs. It runs on a minimum spec PC because of all the legacy and experience that we have with it from 2003, but it also runs on super high-end PCs right now, and it takes full advantage of them. And, you know, we're even working on stuff with DirectX 11 and things like that, and that stuff just looks incredible. So in the same way that EVE has had upgrades and free expansions and all of this kind of stuff with as a game as a service for almost 10 years now, we have the same plan for Dust 514. We don't think like other gaming companies in terms of a couple of months or even a couple of years of a life cycle for a product. When we are making this a part of our EVE universe, this is a 10-year plan. You know, at minimum, we have just years and years and years of things that we want to do to expand on and iterate and increase the connection and ideas between the two games over time, of course, in close collaboration with our community. So basically, knowing that we intend for this to be a many year, theoretically never-ending game as a service, you can take that to mean whatever you like. Well, everyone that plays Dust 514 on PS3 and everyone that plays EVE Online on PC are logged into the same server at one time. So currently we're supporting 32 players per battle instance, and then there can be multiple battle instances happening on a planet, all affecting each other in real time. And then EVE Online players in space can be having a battle in space around a planet with tens or hundreds or thousands of different people. So as part of one battle around a planet, you can have thousands of people at one time all participating in a major battle, or even a war across a certain sector of space at once, in space and on the planet surfaces. But also, as mentioned, we're going to keep doing upgrades to the game, updates to the graphic engine, upgrades to the number of players that each battle instance supports over time as well. So the next step that we're going to take is up to 48 players. Currently we have two game modes, which is Ambush, which is a team deathmatch, and Skirmish, which is sort of an objective capture-based mode, but we have lots and lots of more game modes coming very soon. Environmental variation is another technology that we're doing that's groundbreaking for FPSs, and we're very excited about it. So for the first time ever in an FPS, the closest thing I can liken it to is sort of how Diablo 2 creates different dungeons. So the way that we create maps in Dust 514 is that we have to cover a universe of thousands of planets. So the way that we're doing it is we have a variety of different terrains and then different textures and then different moods like fog or snow or other environmental effects. And then There's the actual buildings and infrastructure that either we, through our NPCs and AI, have seeded onto the planets, or eventually players in Even Dust will actually be able to build on the planets for different sort of advantages and resources and things like that. So basically, based on the planetary attributes and the stuff that has been built on the planet, the maps are assembled. Oh man, 3 things that I associate with Russia. History, caviar, and champagne.
Your favorite sci-fi movie?
Wow, it's really tough. I mean, I can just name a couple. Blade Runner, Alien, Star Wars. Dust 514 is a great AAA MMO FPS that's free to play on the PlayStation 3.